how many friends have you got? Because you seem to have a lot of friends. And I said, oh, I think about 150. And the person was absolutely shocked off the chair, really. And so, no, you can't have that. You cannot possibly have that because they'll only be acquaintances. But I'm sorry, I regard them as friends.
Look, we're not here to sell you transformation. We're here to share some truths. Because this stage of life can sneak up on you in the best possible way.
There's a new quiet swagger that comes with it. One you earn simply by being you. We'll walk with you. You don't have to be anywhere else. Turns out it's good here. And sometimes it's even great. Hey, welcome to This Gets Good. Now, if you happen to be watching us on YouTube, or maybe there'll be a social clip from today, we did not colour coordinate the red, but I do like that we're colour coordinated because we just did an episode on style and I like that. And just in case
I have the white under, so we're
it is. And just in case you can only see the UCK, it actually says lucky. Just to be clear, I love this jumper. It was inspired by a friend. And actually, speaking of friends, we're talking about friendships today, which, other than the fact that friendship is really important to us, it's what inspired this podcast.
It actually is.
Which is pretty cool because it's me meeting Gay and the Coffee Club crew and just being sparked by what a community that happens to also turn into friendship. They can be separate and they can turn into deep, beautiful friendships, which they have for us.
And then also I think, not only the coffee crew, but I know our friendship has gotten deeper and richer. Yes. And through that, we keep trying to find something we want to do together. We've spoken about this before.
We have.
So here we are.
I know. And I love wherever this podcast goes, if people are around the world, which we found. You told me how many countries?
It's a lot.
43 countries.
43 countries. Thanks, guys, by the way, for listening to us.
So welcome wherever you are in the world. And I really hope that our take on friendship, community, style, life after 50, but also not just about age, that I love that we have a lens each episode where someone in their 20s talks about the topic and someone like Gay in her 70s and some of her friends. And here's what we were talking about before we hit record, that what the interesting thing is, whatever age is weighing in on the topic, whether it's us or the 20-something, we say some similar things. And I love that, just with a slightly different perspective or lens. And I think that's awesome. So let's get into the topic.
Let's talk about friendship. I think I'd like to start with the most popular little saying, which is there are friendships for a reason, season, and lifetime, which many of us have heard. And not too long ago, a friend of mine, Patty Kikos, said something actually differently about that. And I thought I'd start with that because I think that is how I now think about people much more in a different way. So she actually talks about that there are thirds. There's a third of people that you're going to meet that you'll just forget each other immediately. You might meet at a party, but you can't even remember the name or remember the person. You're just energetically not aligned or whatever.
Yeah, but maybe you're around each other because of the environment, whether it's school, the gym, or something that is transient, maybe.
Could be transient, exactly. But you're not really meant to be a big piece of each other's lives. And she even went as far to say that in that third, that's where somebody could really rub you the wrong way. So it's like friction, or it's a third of the population not meant for you. Yeah. There's a third of the population that you will run into throughout your lifetime that could be like a colleague, an acquaintance, or like a moment in time. But again, you're not aligned enough to build a deep bond or deep level friendship.
But it's nice to have them in your life at that time, and you still bring goodness to each other, right?
Exactly.
I guess that makes me think of a work colleague. I've had some fantastic work colleagues for those years in that job.
Yeah.
You loved hanging out and you love going to lunch and laughing and having that part of work. And it doesn't mean you don't like them.
Not.
It's just that was a moment in your life where it was perfectly aligned.
It is. And I find also with them, you might have the lighter level conversations or a little bit more.
Yeah, which is a good thing to have. It's nice to have those lighter friends as well as the deep ones. Yeah.
And then you have your third, which is your soul people, right? Where they're the people that you might know since you were 5 and you might not see each other for 10 years, but you sit down at a table and you immediately almost pick up where you left off. It's like a deeper level bond or connection. And those are the people that really are there for you over your lifetime. And I just thought it was a different way of looking at it, and particularly for me, because for a while there, I probably was more of a, I don't know if I was a people pleaser, but I definitely cared more about what people thought about me. And when Patty said, there's a third of people that are never going to like you anyway, I started laughing. I'm like, you know what? That actually gives me comfort.
Do you know, it just made me think of a speaker we both know that I've worked with called Dr. John DiMartini, and he says slightly different, it's for a different purpose, but it reminds me of 50% of the world's going to love you and dig you. I think we've talked about this before. And the other 50% is going to be like, don't really get her, not really keen on her. And so you better be doing what you love, because the split is just the same. Different lens, because what you're talking about is friendships.
Yeah.
But it does apply to that sort of 30% thing that they're just not for you, and that's okay, or you'll never get them, or they'll never get you, or both.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think also the other take I have on those deeper friendships is they don't have to have been from a young age. You can form them later, and I know we're going to talk about friendship after 50 in this episode, but even though you and I have known each other for about 20 years, the depth of our friendship has only been in the last sort of 5 or so.
Yeah. Much deeper.
Much deeper. There's so much change. But that's the thing. I think we wanted to open with that friendships change. And I think when you're younger, of course you can have deep friendships that stay forever, but there's also a lot of situational ones, because you do have school friends, and then you do have uni friends, and then you do have the mums at school or the dads at school. And I think when you get older, those situations do tend to fall away, and perhaps it is the time of some really magical, interesting friendships as well, because they're nothing to do with that at all. And you become yourself a bit more. So maybe you're a bit more aware of the kind of friend you want to be and the kind of friends you want to have. Yeah.
I think you also might need to put in a little bit of effort, more effort too. Like you were saying, when you're younger, you have these sort of situations where
it brings you together.
Yeah. It's just there. But now when you get older and life changes, or you may go through times where it's not as social, it's a different time. And yeah, you might have to throw a little bit more effort into it. So yeah, it can be a little bit more complicated as you get older.
It can be. And then I think the flip side of that, we'll talk about that in a minute, is just you know yourself better.
You're probably more picky too. Maybe? What do you think? Are you more picky when you get older?
It's a bit of both. I think you're more picky and less picky, but I think you're just more aware of how you want a friendship to make you feel, and how the kind of friend you want to be. Yeah. And I think that leads me to something I wanted to share. Something that doesn't get spoken about so much is friendships ending, but not so much. Obviously, all of us have probably had an experience, whether it was a school friend or a long-term friend, where that friendship ends for whatever reason, whether it's a difficult end or just a natural end. But what I wanted to talk about is, having had that happen, is I don't think a lot of people talk about the grief. We talk about the grief of an intimate relationship ending, like a divorce. And I have had one of those too. But what I realised when a significant friendship shifted in my life, the grief was so much more than, not that I had expected, because I hadn't really thought about it, but it was really deep. And I don't think that a lot of space necessarily, or thought by others, is given to that. If you said you were getting a divorce, I think people would rally around you and that sort of thing. But I think losing someone who was really important to you and is a part of the fabric of your life, there is a true grief to that. And I found it very different to my divorce. It's not to compare them, because that would be unfair. So I think I find, anyway, with girlfriends, you have such a deep connection and deep sharing. You share the long stories and the deep stories and the deep feelings. And again, not to say you don't share those with your partner, but it's different. You get a different solace and conversation with your good girlfriends. And that's great. I think that's a great thing, that you have that place to go and have a different conversation. And it's the loss of that, where someone who knew you so well and you knew them, it's really sad. And it takes a long time. And for me, I will always think of that person fondly. And I think I read somewhere, and I really love this, that a friendship can end without everything that came before it being untrue.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really like that. That it might have ended or shifted, or the season changed like you were talking about, but that doesn't make how the lovely things that you shared and did, like, you want to be able to look back on that fondly. But there is a grieving process, and it's okay to grieve that because that person is really special and deep in your life.
I think especially for women. Interestingly, our beautiful Tuesday, who was our cool kid in our last episode about body changes, I was just having a conversation with her this week about female friendships. And we were just having a little banter about how men and women are different in the gym, and it somehow changed into...
I want to know what she said.
All right, I'll tell you that. It's
Yeah.
quite funny.
Tell me.
I said to her, we were doing a workout, and I'm like, God, it's really hard. And she said, you know what's interesting, Heather, is even though the women I train will say, oh, yeah, it's hard or whatever, women just jump in and do it. She goes, I straight up see men that come to me, and she goes, you know, men can build muscle, they have testosterone, but they come up to me and they're like, no, it hurts, I'm not going to do it.
Really?
Yeah, I was dying.
I mean, she would know more than
She
us.
knows
That's
more.
wild.
That's why a lot of guys say they hate leg day, apparently. I don't know. That's a thing in working out. But we were talking about that, and she goes, and on that point, what's beautiful about women is that our friendships are so deep and rich and important. And I think that gives us strength. And she sort of mentioned also that men can tend to not have the depth. So maybe there's something in the resilience of how we feel with everything we do.
Which is why I think, that not everybody understands for a female, in my case, that there is a real grief around losing that familiarity and that person who knew you really well. And that's okay. And that's also what makes friendship special. I can't think of the exact saying, but to grieve about something means you had something wonderful in the first place. So how great is that? You lost it or it changed, but the fact that you grieve it means you did have something that was wonderful. And that's something when you can get to that point that you can go, that was great. It might be different now, but I honour what it was. And that's how I want to see it. And it leads us to the next thing we wanted to talk about. You started to touch on it, that the depth of female friendships can, not always, again, we're generalising, but they can tend to be deeper. Something you and I have noticed, your friendships are very different to your intimate partner. And we find it really great that rather than put the weight on your partner for them to be everything or to enjoy everything you do, I really love that there are things you want to do with your friends that you can do with your friends that you don't need to do with your husband or your partner or your wife. I think that's a really good thing.
I think it's really important. There's something that I learned back when I was doing a lot of the personal development work with speakers, that your best relationship with anyone is like an H. If you visualize an H, right? You have the two sides of the capital H standing independently of each other, chosen to be connected by the line in the middle.
Yeah.
And what's great about that is that you can attach sort of your center, like cord or energy, to any other pillar at any given time, whether it's a romantic partner or a friend. And that's the healthiest way of having a true friendship or partnership with another human being. And then a lot of people tend to do A relationships where you lean on each other.
Yeah.
Probably butchering the metaphor. But
no, I remember you've told me
remember?
this. Yeah. It makes me think of your birthday cake. That was a H.
The H.
But yeah, I get it. You've got two columns standing and the H, there's a connection between the two people, but they're not leaning on each other for everything. Whereas the letter A, so that was the letter H, the letter A, you're tipping on each other. Yeah. So you can topple each other over, basically.
Exactly.
You're relying on everything.
Exactly.
It's so important. My partner listens to this podcast, so he'll laugh when I say it, but he says it. If I've got something that's bothering me or something I want to share and I'll come home and I'll start telling the story, he'll say, give me the short version, save the long version for your girlfriends. Yeah. When he first started saying that to me, I'm like, a little bit miffed, but now I'm like, no,
you understand it, right?
It's so much more fun to share the long version with my girlfriends because you could toss it around, you get each other, you get into it, and you actually get more pleasure out of it. With him, I either do the short version or no version at all, basically. Shout out to you, babe. But that's also, travel.
Travel,
right?
I was just going to say,
Yeah, you say it.
No, I was just going to say, guys, Ellie and I, at this point, we're very lucky to travel every year together to different countries. And very soon, Ellie's leaving first overseas, and then we're meeting in Budapest, and we're going to do some things in Italy. You'll see this unfold on social media. So make sure you follow us if you haven't, or get on our newsletter at thisgetsgood.com, because we're going to share a lot of really interesting things when we travel.
Yeah.
But we love to travel together because we're able to just do things that fill our soul in a different way than with our partners.
Yeah, and it's not that we don't want to be with our partners. It's not that we wouldn't love a certain type of holiday with our partners, but this kind of trip where we love the all-day sightseeing, the what's tomorrow's adventure, let's be out for hours, let's go shopping
Like
for
all day long
hours.
out.
Let's go do that again. Let's go back to that
You
place.
go back to the place because we need to see it again.
Need to see it again. Or I'm going to buy that necklace. You knew I was going to buy it. Let's track back.
Do you know what else is different though when we travel? There's something about our energy that's contagious, and I always notice this when I'm with you. Wherever we go, because we are dear friends, I guess we just attract this really great environment and beautiful people to us. And I find it's quite different when I travel with my partner as well. It's beautiful.
Well, I think you're more insular.
Yeah,
and it's not to say
it.
that he isn't a great person and you guys aren't a lovely couple. It's such a good point. But I think when it's the two of us, we're more gregarious and we're like interested in meeting new people. I think as a couple, you maybe go a little bit more in, and we'll always find someone wants to give us a free coffee or a free this, and we, just something fun happens. But it's just because we're two girlfriends being funny and laughing and just having a great time.
It's so important to think of that. Not everyone's going to be everything for you for everything.
And I think it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself and someone else. And I think it can cause the friction, the unnecessary friction, like whether it's getting out on a Saturday to have a coffee with your girlfriend instead, just so you can get your 10,000 words out. No, it's true. Or for us, traveling, big deal. A lot of people don't get it. They go, oh, you're going to be away for weeks from your husband. And it's, but what happens is I'm able to bring this richness back to the relationship. We have a chance to miss each other. We have a chance to forget about things that irritate. Maybe because we miss you. Actually go, oh, that doesn't bother me so much. I actually miss you. But it's good to miss someone, and you can be an individual and be part of a partnership. And I think neither detracts from the other. And it's certainly not because I don't care for him or I love hanging out with him and the dog. But I think more so because I have this full, rich individual life, as does he.
That's it.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening that are in our tribe, in our community of 50 plus, do you think that it's harder to find friendships, like deep, good, beautiful friendships after the age of 50?
I think I would have, if you asked me this 10 years ago, I probably would have said it probably is hard. Like I'm guessing that you've kind of set your friendships in your 30s and 40s and you might meet people. But now having met some of the greatest friends of my life in my 50s, I think it's not impossible at any age, I think is what I want to say, to find new friends where you're like, I never expected this. And certainly Gay and the rest of my coffee club have become dear friends. And we're just about to celebrate a birthday this week. We're going to lunch and we have these separate coffee dates, 4 of us out of the group. And it's just so lovely where we meet somewhere else and we just happy to be in each other's company, and I love it so much. What I will say is not to think at any age you won't suddenly run into a new friend, but you have to make a little bit of an intentional effort to say hello to someone or be somewhere, anywhere where you sit with somebody and strike up a little conversation. I guess it's the same with dating. You keep going on first dates till you find someone that you want to have a second date with, right? At any age.
I think that's important. Get out, but also get out there. Stay open, stay curious. And like you were saying, that big belief that it gets harder to find friends as you get older, maybe question that belief if that's a belief you've carried your whole life.
Question it for sure. And just speaking from the 50 plus lens, I think you are more so clear of who you are that the chances of you meeting great friends go up just from that perspective because you can spot your people.
Yeah.
And you don't waste time on ones that aren't. Yeah. So speaking of which, let's hear from some other people, I think.
This is where we share voices worth listening to on today's topic. Good to know. Up next.
I'm really excited to introduce you to our next expert guest, Esther Perel. She is a psychotherapist, a New York Times bestselling author, and a podcast host of Where Should We Begin? And this is a clip taken from her Instagram account, Esther Perel Official. Go and follow her to get amazing other tips.
Friendship needs a number of things to survive. It needs a shared reality. It needs a sense that two people are evolving in parallel, in worlds where they can relate to each other. If it starts to feel like one person is having a whole world and they're not interested anymore in the reality of the others, or the others can't find a way into their new world, then a gap gets created.
Next up, we hand things over to someone younger to decode a trend, a slang word, or something we've missed. All right, let's get the cool kids to explain.
Hey, I'm Tanya. I am an online coach and personal trainer in Melbourne. It is a lot harder to make friends as you get older, especially for people who like to change. And that's definitely something that I am like. I've been on a very, very long journey with my health, my fitness, my training, and moved into bodybuilding a few years ago. And something I noticed is as I changed and grew and developed as a person, I lost a lot of the friends that I thought were really good friends back in my early 20s. I also have moved overseas as well. So since I've moved overseas and having such a big change, I guess, in my professional and personal life has made it really hard to reconnect and actually make friends. So at this stage of my life, something that I really value is quality over quantity. So I would rather have one or two very good friends that I can really count on, really rely on, and that are there and support me, rather than have, 10, 20, 30 friends and be super popular and have all these people I could hang out with where it is very superficial. So I'm more about quality over quantity, and definitely having the same sort of wavelength as that person, that someone that you can really connect with, really count on, and really just open up and be vulnerable with as well, just like you would in any kind of relationship. I find is very important to me now. Something that I think makes a friendship last is the communication and having that ability to support someone. So I do have a couple of friends from when I was a lot younger. My best friend I've known since I was about 8 years old. I'm now 29, so 20 years or so. And my other one I've known since I was 15, so again 14 so years now. And something that we really value is just our ability to reconnect and communicate, but actually show genuine care into the other person and what they do. So a lot of my really good friends that I do have from over the years are living interstate, overseas, doing these amazing things with their lives and living really fulfilled lives. And that's something that I do really strive towards, but also just show a lot of understanding. And when we do wind up in the same place and be able to catch up again, it's like nothing's ever changed and nothing's happened, even though so many things have changed, but we just snap right back to how we were being best friends. So I do really value that as a friendship now that I've got older. Honestly, I think this is going to sound so counterintuitive, but my best advice is to become a friend with yourself and really appreciate the time that you have with yourself, and don't be afraid to open up to new people as well. It is very terrifying to have to open up to new people and let them in and share with them what you're about. But when you can find that love for yourself and who you are and be able to share that with another person, I think that is really beautiful. And not to be afraid of it. It is, like I said, it's scary, but you do need to put yourself out there, which is the really hard part. But that's probably my best advice for someone that is looking to get some more friends, is to really just trust that you're going to find your people and really look in places that you really enjoy. For myself, a lot of my friends come from the gym. So we have a lot of similar interests in the fact that we're growing, we're changing, we're working on our health and fitness, and we have similar goals. So I love that. There's one thing that I wish people knew about friendship. It's a two-way street, and it is work. It's like any good relationship, whether it's your parents, your partner, husband, kids, anything like that. All relationships do take effort, and they do take a bit of work. So you can't expect your friends to be the ones making plans for you all the time and doing things for you all the time. You've got to give back as well. But even with the more emotional side of things, you can't expect people to tell you and open up to you and you not do the same thing, or if they open up to you and you go blabbing to other people. So yeah, it's something I do think that people should know. It is that two-way street, that it does take a bit of work.
Every episode, we pause for wisdom from someone who's been through it and learned a thing or two. Here's a word from the wise.
I know that people say you can only have 2 or 3 or 5 good friends in your life. You can count on one hand. A lot of people say that are true and got your back and honest to you and everything. But I don't believe that. For me, it doesn't work like that. Somebody asked me once, how many friends have you got? Because you seem to have a lot of friends. And I said, I think about 150. And the person was absolutely shocked off the chair, really. And so, no, you can't have that. You cannot possibly have that, because they'll only be acquaintances. But I'm sorry, I regard them as friends. because I've been in there. They're not somebody I've just met or met once or twice. They're people that I've had dealings with in my life. They're not around every day, but I can pick up where I left off and it's still the same. It's never a bother. I think because I just love so many people, and people are so good, inherently good, that's what you have to believe, and that's how you become and have more friends, because you believe in them. You believe they're good people. You don't even have to believe it, you just know it because of the way you've interacted with them. Depending on the circumstances of your life, because obviously changes and people come in and out of your life, you ring up and see how they are, right? You don't have to see them even. You don't have to be. I've got an old friend in a place where I grew up, and I've known her for 50 years, and I'll just ring up once a year even, and we just connect. She was my best friend in that area at the time. She still lives there. I don't get there as much, but I still love her as much, and we still connect. Friendships do have a lot to do with convenience too. Unfortunately, that sounds very cold and calculating, and where they're placed in their life. Like I'm finding now as a grandmother, a lot of my friends are becoming grandmothers, and they're taken up with their grandchildren. We're not seeing them as much. And that's a natural progression of life. And they're very good friends. And they're really the core. A lot of them are core around my area. So that's just a natural, because I had some girlfriends over the other day and haven't seen them, talked to them for 4 months or 5 months, and just rang up, come and have a cup of tea. They're off doing the grandchildren thing. So they're not available either. It's not like a conscious thing, I don't want to see you. It's just a natural part of life, of getting older. And you don't need to see as many people as you get older. You don't need to be out there all the time either, although I am. I am, because that's just the nature of my social life. I think a natural progression as you get older is you don't need as many around you either. That is natural, I know that. Yeah, because they start to die off too. That's another era of your life. I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard about that from other people older than me. So get ready for that one, and you'll have to cope with it. There is no other way. Even if they're male friends, it's different to your partner. It really is, because you can have different enjoyments that maybe the partner's not into, so you've got more variety of experiences with other people. And your partner might only want to do such and such a thing, whereas the other ones will go and do other things with them. Friends are everything for me now without a partner, yeah. Whereas they were a big thing because my husband was not around a lot, so I had to develop that anyway, which is unusual to some people, because some people, partners, they're together all the time and they love doing things together, whereas we love to do things apart and together. I don't think you get it from every one person. You cannot. I've seen people who do, but not very often. Not very often. They're that close that they only want to be together. You don't see that very often. Something I do shows how much I value friendship is when I tell someone a person I've met who hasn't met my friend, who's meeting my friend, I usually tell what the greatest things is about them, always, right? I truly believe it. And it is true. So there might be someone who's been to Harvard, say, oh, they've been to Harvard and they've done this and they've done that, and always in a positive way. And that's not a thing I consciously try to do to impress anybody. It's just, that's those people. Everyone's got something great about them, I find, anyway. Everybody's got something great about them you can say. And if you can't, you don't want to know them.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone, in our 43 plus countries, our beautiful listeners. So here's the thing, since this episode is all about friendship, right now, is there anyone in your life, a friend of yours, that you need to reach out to, maybe check in on, or maybe a friend where you want to share this podcast with them because you know they'll like this as well. We'd love for you to pass it on, or at very least say hi to somebody near and dear to your heart if you have not spoken to them in a while.
Yes, and next week, a big one. Boundaries. How do we say no without guilt, Heather? Can you tell me? I want someone to tell me. No, I'm really interested in this topic, and definitely a word from the wise gay. She's a superstar at this. But we want to unpack if better boundaries actually help us stay closer to the people that matter rather than further away. Because turns out something good might be closer than you think.